All righty. Hello and welcome back to Messages from Mars, hosted by Zozimus Agency. We're here with episode 4, bringing our expertise from our fellow Zozies to your ears. My name is David Wilson and I will be your host. In today's episode, we'll be catching up with founder and senior partner, AJ Gerritson, to talk about all things Zozimus. Welcome, AJ.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
No problem. For anyone that doesn't know you, and that's a small world and a small universe, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, I'll give you a little of the background. So I've been in the agency space for, almost 25 years now, which is crazy to think of. Originally from Dedham, Massachusetts. I now live in Scituate, father of 4 crazy kids, amazing wife, Megan, who was also in the agency world at one point. And yeah, big rugby fan and, by-day marketer.
Thank you for that. It's as you said, you've been in the agency space for a long time. Zozimus just celebrated its 19th year. So you can tell us a little bit more about what inspired you to create the agency previously known as 451 Marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, early 2000s, Dave, were a crazy time. You remember, right? So, back then, everybody was focused on, they were focused on e-commerce. The digital world as we know it today really was still in its infancy. Things like social media, they didn't really exist, not like what we know now. I mean, basically back then, you'd be lucky if you could find something that was, just blog, push button publishing, as we used to call it. But there was definitely a lot of opportunity. And, myself and my other partner, Nick, and Tom as well, we knew that there was an opportunity to create an agency that leveraged all the really cool things that were going on in terms of technology, in terms of science, in terms of talent, and put it all together in a way that no one else had done it. And, but we knew we had to go off and do it on our own and to take that leap of faith. So that's why we started the company.
Awesome. Along that way, went through different name iterations, came up with Zozimus, right before pandemic, right? So it's probably like 3+ years go from now. So sort of why the rebrand to Zozimus, and sort of where did you see that change taking the agency in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. Well, first off, let's go back to why we named the agency 451 Marketing in the first place, because it lends to the story of where we are today and where we're going. So, we created the agency and, hardcore digital shop. And we were focused almost 100% just in the digital channel. Again, going back to what I said earlier, which was blending technology and science and talent. But we wanted a name that sounded really cool and captured who we were back then. And we loved the concept of 451 because, as you may know, 451 is the temperature which paper burns. So everything we're doing was too hot for paper and igniting or burning and going onto the web. Think about it metaphorically, right? So, and that was really cool for a long time. Now the one thing is, as we grew as an agency and as our services expanded to better suit the needs of our clients, and again, we're at our core a digital shop, right? So, obviously we do other things as well, but it was very difficult for our clients to, because our brand was so strong, it was very difficult for our clients to picture us as doing anything but at that hardcore, what was at our core in terms of services, in terms of digital. So what, unfortunately, we were missing out on opportunities because that association with our brand and so forth. So we knew that we had to change the brand. We knew we had to rebrand the company, but we didn't want to lose, our mission, our core, and quite frankly, we love the association with Fahrenheit 451 being not so much the book itself, but just being tied to a literary reference, right? So, we went through this whole rebrand as to who we wanted to be and where we wanted to take the company and really why we existed and what could we do for our clients. So having gone through all of that, we realized that we exist in the fact that, we want to help our clients through world-class marketing and digital performance and so forth. We wanted to help our clients' dreams come true, whatever that might be in terms of a company sense, right? So launching a new product, selling a company, getting a promotion because you're doing a kick-ass campaign, whatever it might be. And then we went on a search from there to really figure out what's a great name and one that could also be tied to a literary reference. And that's where we landed on Zozimus, because Roald Dahl was a prolific writer, but he was also one that is very well known for creating words maybe that don't mean anything, right? So
Hmm.
um, he used a word in one of his works, Big Friendly Giant, which was Zozimus, which really what it stood for, the stuff that dreams are made of. And when we found
Hmm.
that, we came across that, we're like, oh, perfect. This captures us and gives us a lot of creative license to do some really fun things.
Hmm.
So that's the evolution of the name from 451 Marketing and then at one point 451 Agency to Zozimus. Now, albeit timing was a little difficult because we rebranded and launched the company right before the pandemic, which threw everything off. But hey, hindsight's always 2020, right? But we still love the brand today, and it gives us a lot of flexibility to see where we're going to take it in the future.
Hmm. It's part of that. So before we go to the future, let's look backwards, right? So over 19 years, the agency's changed a lot. The space has changed an awful lot. So what are some of the successes and then challenges that you've seen and faced over that 19-year period?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Dave. So, in thinking about it, I think of the evolution. So one of the challenges of being at an agency that's committed to being on the forefront of things of technology, of things like data science, like what you and I are doing with a lot of stuff today,
Hmm.
for you name it, is that you are oftentimes finding yourself educating as much as you are selling, right? So in the early days, when platforms such as platforms were emerging through social media, new technologies that were coming, we had to do just as much educating as to what clients could do with their campaigns as what they should do. Where a lot of our competitors are probably, they're all selling the same thing, which is fine. That's the space they decided to play in. And we had to go in and say, well, wait a minute, this is the problem that you have, client A or client B. These are ways that maybe you haven't thought of that you can actually solve that problem. And I know they obviously appreciated it because we're giving them solutions to things they otherwise wouldn't have. But it's a lot of effort to educate and to sell as you grow your company. And I think that was one of the both earlier challenges as an agency, but also a success as well, because some of the stuff that we were able to do, I'll give you a couple of examples, were just off the charts. So
The education piece, I think, is still there, right? I mean, because
yeah,
we're having conversations
because
with clients, around
we're always at the
AI today,
forefront.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's always part of that. You spoke about Zozimus is where dreams come true.
Okay.
And looking forward. So when you look forward over the next several years, from a Zozimus standpoint, from an agency standpoint, what excites you about the future?
Yeah, I think for me, it's there's a lot of very cool things that are happening right now, right? You mentioned, you look at AI, what it can do, and I think the companies that are going to succeed and thrive in the new world of the AI environment are the ones that embrace a tool like that early on, which we have, as you've seen it, we have, and it can help us do a number of different things. It's never going to replace talent, and the talent, you still have to have the talent, creative. Um, there's a number of instances I can give you, but what it can do is it can supplement and extend, right? So I'm excited to see where that's going to take us. I love that. I love, AI, machine learning. There's all sorts of really cool stuff that's there. There's always advances. I love seeing things that there's always advances in existing technology that, I don't even know where half the people think of these things, but they just come up to do. You and I were talking about something the other day about how, technology has been around for a couple of years that can track media flights and traditional to help boost online bidding in real time. I mean, I love that stuff and figuring out, because that solves a problem. We have a client who's maybe a challenger brand that's trying to compete with a larger company that has a much bigger budget, maybe even spending a lot more on traditional. Well, we can draft off what they're doing through traditional to help capture more eyeballs online in real time. Like, just getting more innovative stuff around the phone and geofencing, and just again, the people who are in front of this, like we are, there just presents a lot of opportunities for our clients.
And some of those sort of successes or some of those events that have stood out for you over this 19 years?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the things I think about is some of our biggest successes were based upon I guess challenging the status quo or even challenging accepted norms for some of our clients. I'll give you a couple examples of how it played out really well. So, for years we represented Bob's Discount Furniture National, and when we first started with them as a company, the CEO at the time was a gentleman named Ted English, and this was, I'm trying to think when the actual year was. It was probably maybe 2012, 2013, we first started working with them. And the reason why we started talking to them was because, they are a company at the time that was spending a ton of money through television, broadcast media, as which was the norm for, that industry. And by the way, if you know anything about that industry, it's a very competitive, almost cutthroat type industry, in terms of pricing, in terms of products, in terms of how they operate their business. Very profitable, but very competitive. And when we, approached that at the time, we said, listen, we think that there's a great opportunity for you to sell your products online, which was unheard of at the time, which is crazy because in such a short amount of time, now we think everybody, Wayfair didn't exist, and everybody's buying furniture online and so forth. We said, we think there's, we had done a bunch of research. We had think not only is there an opportunity to sell furniture through the channel, through the online channel, but we think specifically targeting the millennial audience who, now is very well defined, but early on that, was one that was, strapped in terms of time, was looking for best value, was looking for convenience in terms of delivery, checking all the boxes. And Ted did, to his credit, even though he thought, well, this sounds nuts and this is crazy, he gave us the opportunity to prove our theory. And one of the coolest things about this, I look at this and say, the first year that we created the program through the channel, we quickly proved we quickly validated the success and the concept. And I think the first year we did something close to $8 or $9 million for the channel. But within 3 short years, we had taken a channel where they were virtually doing no sales online, and we were eclipsing $75 million in sales. And just, I mean, the return on ad spend for Bob's at that point was just through the roof. I mean, we worked with them for a number of years until they eventually got bought out. So that was number one. Another example, actually, again, going back to strategy and to research, which, we have some very, very smart people at the agency. We uncovered that there was an opportunity for one of our clients, Yankee Candle, to sell an extension of their product line to women who are looking to gift candles to men. Right. So where typically they were always selling to the persona that they called Lisa, but they were looking to gift or sell a very specific type of candle to women to gift to men, and for men as well. And first they pushed back, but then they really loved the idea and said, listen, if we're going to launch this thing, we're going to do this in a way that is exciting, is fun, because this is not something that people think of. When they think of Yankee Candles and they think of people who are purchasing Yankee Candles, they're not thinking, oh, this is something for a man. And so we worked with them and came up with some really cool ideas around, fresh cut grass for one of their smells to, it was a bacon candle, all this like cool stuff. But we said we want to launch it the right way. So what we did was we did an integrated approach where we were doing both digital as well as PR, and we were going to have a lot of fun with it. We launched it on Father's Day, the year that we rolled it out, and we got it everywhere. So everything from to Today's Show, to Good Morning America, to Time Magazine, Live with Anderson Cooper. I mean, the amount of eyeballs and traffic that our performance team did, it was just wild. I mean, this thing, I think in a short amount of time, I think probably 3 or 4 weeks, we got them over 400 media outlets talking about this, right? Jimmy Fallon actually we worked with the folks at the Jimmy Fallon show to make almost like a joke, which was, he goes, this one smells like Rogaine and, convertibles and leather bucket seats. They called it midlife crisis. It wasn't an actual scent, but we worked with them to get the candle. We had so much fun with it, and the amount of traction that got online. That they went from, they thought there was just going to be a thing they were going to have a one-time seasonal thing, and then it became a permanent part of their extension, making them tens of millions of dollars in a very short amount of time. So that was another one. And then I guess I'd say probably the last one, I'd say really is, which I'm most excited about because it's a recent one, but it's also a recent one that employs some of that really cool stuff that we're doing now. It's for our client. It's for one of our clients with Bryant University. And we had started working with Brian around the pandemic, which was a very difficult time for universities and everybody, obviously. But in the virtual world, we'd helped them with driving traffic through things around virtual tours and so forth, and it was tremendously successful. But what we've been employing for a couple of years now that works really well for almost everybody, but especially customers that have a significant amount of customer, client, prospect, whatever you want to call them, student data, is we've been leveraging a proprietary approach called Zoz Predict, which is really it's an interesting way that we're doing predictive modeling to take customer data, do predictive modeling, and then layering that with data science so that we can basically drive more efficient media campaigns, and the return on ad spend is just through the roof. I mean, it's on average over 30 to 1 ROAS right now, which is we just had a record-breaking year. The last year working with Ryan, we had a record-breaking year. They've never seen enrollment like they've seen, and it's because of what we've been doing with Zoz Predict and data science.
Awesome, great stories. Brilliant. Thanks, AJ. Thank you so much for joining us today for another episode of Messages from Mars. We'll be bringing new episodes to you every month, so follow us on Instagram at Zozimus Agency and YouTube for the latest episodes and releases. Comment below with any subject you'd like our Zoz team to cover, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.